Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am the Inconsequential Runner, and it's been a little bit of a break, but we are back and we are back. We are back. Coach Mark, we are back.
We are back.
We
Yeah,
are
good.
back.
Good to see you.
Hey, we've got a boatload of questions now ready to work through. And anyone who's joining us for the first time, we handle one question per video. So the short, the sharp, the to the point, you're going to get the answer you want. If the question isn't what you want, then click into our back catalog or hit subscribe and there'll be other ones coming your way. And today we need to talk about race tactics. And Coach Mark, I'll ask you in just a moment what we can do with race tactics in terms of, what should we be thinking of to develop some good race tactics? Because when I was down at, and this is where part of this question and where it resonates with me, I was down at the Nationals recently, and it was in particular, the 800-meter race. And after 400 meters, one guy shot off the front. And I was caught into two minds. Should I go or should I not? And the thing, for whatever reason, I'm blessed with a relatively long kick. So 250 meters out, I can go to full speed and I can hold it for the last 250. But I didn't go. And obviously, in retrospect, I think I made a mistake. I should have gone. And then, things may have happened another way. And I think that showed maybe a lack of courage, but it sure showed a lack of insight in terms of being able to make the right decision at the right time. It's always easier to make decisions after, but not during. So, Coach Mark, I'm going to throw to you now. So the question is, what should we have in mind? What should we be thinking about? Or what should be some of the considerations as we develop race tactics? Because if we don't have race tactics, then I think our chances of being lucky or fortunate are reduced. But if we do have good race tactics, we're putting ourselves in a better position. Coach Mark, what should we be thinking about when we think about developing our race tactics?
Yeah, you're right. And I know in a previous video we talked about Arthur Lydiard. One of the key things he used to say was, any plan is better than no plan. So if you go into a race with some sort of plan, it alleviates anxiety for a start. You have a bit of a focus when you're lining up. But your race that you were talking about, your 800 meters, that's a good example, really, because I see there are three rules, really, you should apply when you're thinking about tactics in a race. And the first rule is it should play to your strengths. So as you said, your strength, big strength, is you've got a fast finish. So it would be crazy, for example, for you to take off at the start, for example. There's actually there's a runner I'm thinking about now had a very fast finish. In fact, they had in any given race they were in, if it was a sort of a race of 3K, 5K or longer. In terms of basic speed, they had more basic speed than anyone in the race. And they used to use all that basic speed when the gun went. They would shoot off at the start like a bat out of hell. And then, as you can imagine, coming into the finish, they were often passed by people with much slower basic speed than them, but they'd run a more sensible race. So I just pointed it out to them. Why don't you turn this around the other way? And you're using your weapon in the first minute. Why don't you save it to the last minute? And the great thing is, so now, again, a good example for you, if you've got really good speed, you really don't need to do much work in the race, apart from sit in, and keep handy, so that you're able to, use that at the end. So that's the other thing. And similarly, say if you're not blessed with a lot of basic speed, but you have huge endurance, it's obvious. An obvious tactic for you would be to push out early, either from the start to basically demoralize your opposition, or go from, instead of say 250 meters out, go from 500 meters out. Because you've got that, whatever, or even longer than that. So that's the first thing. The second rule is whatever tactics you decide in the race, you have to have trialled that in training. You can't just go and go, I wonder if this will work. Of course, you can trial it in an unimportant race, so that's a good time to trial that, and it might not come off, and then you've learned quite a lot that you can then go back into training or to change things for your next important race.
Nice, that's a good point.
So again, one tactic is maybe starting faster than you maybe faster than the average pace, but then settle into the pace so that you might get a bit of a lead on people, but that's something you can trial in training by running the first few reps harder, or doing some sharp reps and then doing some longer reps that are settling in tight reps in the middle, then a fast finish. Just think about that. Surging is another one, where that's a common one where you might run a hard 400 meters in the middle of a race. Perhaps there's a hill if it's a cross-country race in the middle of the race, and you think, when I get to that hill, I'm just going to go like hell. And that's the point where other people are thinking, oh, there's a hill, and you're prepared because you're prepared in training for doing that by running hard up hills in the middle of reps. And that might be a smart tactic. So that's your second rule.
All right. What's rule number 3? Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah. And then the third rule is again, it applies totally to what you were saying. You have to be flexible with that tactic, because it could all go out the window, because you can't base you can only really base a cut and dry tactic that doesn't alter on a circumstance and situation that's not going to change. But of course, you're racing against a whole load of other people who have similar tactics and ideas of what they want to do. And things can change, like you said. You might have a tactic to sit and wait 200 meters to go, but someone takes off early. Perhaps you might get 2 or 3 people take off early. Then you've got to make a judgment call. And again, this all comes down with experience of racing as well, and knowing your competitors as well. I mean, there've been some elite races where someone who's a supposed unknown takes off, and everyone goes, oh, we'll let them go, they'll come back, and they don't. and win the race. So but you have to always be thinking. Don't switch off, I guess, is the thing. And to always think about your strengths, but be prepared to adapt these. There's no point having a fantastic finish if everyone else has got right away from you, and you're not able to use it for good effect. Yeah.
Oh no, that's awesome. And look, I love when I ask a question and someone gives me like 3 components. 3 seems to be the magic number, and for whatever reason, we've got 3 today. So yeah. So those 3 are: know your strengths, know what your weapon is, and so that consciously becomes part of your tactics. So yeah. Then the second one is then train to it. Don't do something in the race that you haven't already done in training. Get used to it in training, and know how you're deploying your weapon, or how if your weapon's the fast finish, how you're going to feel when you deploy that fast finish. So replicate that in training, because you're not going to do your fast finish feeling fresh. You're going to feel, pretty exhausted to kick into your fast finish. So replicate that in training, and also then having a degree of flexibility, not being so rigid in your tactic that you're going to miss an opportunity by sticking to your tactics. You've got to have that degree of flexibility to as the race unfolds or things happen, be able to make quick decisions. Is that it, Coach Mark?
That's exactly it. And linking point 2 and 3 together, in training, you should trial different scenarios. So different tactics scenarios make sense. So then you can be adaptable. You're not just a one-trick pony.
Yep. In
the race, you have other strings to your bow if needed. You've got your number one, but you've got other things as well if things change.
Yeah, perfect. What I was doing, so let me bounce this off you for those that are watching. When we talk about taking it into training, one thing I was doing, so we were doing like 6 1-kilometer efforts, and I thought, well, the 1 kilometer is not too far away from the 800-meter race, but what I'll do in the 1-kilometer effort is after 400 meters, then I'll turn it on for 200, or no, not 200, excuse me, 50 meters, 50, 60, 70 meters, and then back off. but back off, not going easy, going back to that, what I was doing for the one.
Yeah.
And what I was
Yes.
trying to replicate there was closing a gap, seeing that a gap was getting a bit too big and going, nah, I have to go and close if I don't. So trying to teach myself how to close a gap and then recover as fast as I can, because I'm going to need to go again for the sprint. Is that the sort of thing?
Yeah, totally. That's exactly right. Yeah, and as you say, there's no point doing a fast surge and then slowing down slower than you were before you did the surge, because all that would achieve is you would say get away from people, close the gap, and then you lose it again. Yeah, so yeah, that's exactly right. You become and that's the sort of thing when you're in a race situation, you think, well, I've done this before, so yeah, I'm fairly confident I can hang in here and do this.
Okay. Am I also, last question then, am I also right in thinking whatever you're replicating in training means it's probably going to be quite intense and it's going to be hard work? It's going to be a hard session if you're replicating what's going to be happening in a race in your training.
Very much so. Yes. Okay. Yeah. You need to be prepared for that. That particular training session's not going to be an easy one. No.
Okay, that's awesome. I love that. So know your weapon, train, replicate the race and the strategy in training, and have that degree of flexibility in the race, knowing that things, or they never go to plan. It's always a degree away, but having that flexibility in your plan. Coach Mark, that's fantastic. I think that's enough for us to for those that are watching to start to put together, and start to think about their race strategies. This is going to be quite candid. I don't self-monitor myself when I'm about to share these things, but I don't know why. But anyway, when I go to bed at night, that is the one thing I think about when I'm lying in bed before I fall asleep. I imagine myself on the 800-meter mark or one of the lanes, even in the position, and I just play the whole race in my head different, and I just visualize it. And I don't get more than one race done before I'm asleep. So I don't know if those two things are related. But look, so why am I throwing that out there? Because I think that's a great time where, if you're going to fall asleep, there's nothing else going on at that stage. You're about to fall asleep. I find that's a great time to just actually start to visualize some of the stuff. So with that said, sometimes I've got so excited about racing. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, look, I got to stop. I won't edit this out. No. Okay.
Coach, I love it.
Thank you. You've given, irrespective of when someone thinks about it, whether they have my sickness and they think about it before they fall asleep or some other time during the day, they've got those three key things to think about. Thinking about what is your strength, how to train that strategy, take the strategy into your training and do that, and having that degree of flexibility. And as you said, Coach Mark, and that was another great point, you're going to learn about how to use that flexibility and make that good decision making by racing. You just have to race to learn to race. So, Coach Mark, thank you so much. I know we've got a video coming up, because the other thing I want to ask you about race tactics is sometimes you get caught, if we're talking about a track event, sometimes you can get caught and boxed in on the rail. So what can you and can't you do? That's our next question for our next video. So those that are watching, want the answer from Coach Mark, it's going to be coming out in a couple of days. Hit subscribe. You'll be notified when it comes through. If you want to contact Coach Mark and get him to help you with your training, Coach Mark's details are in the show notes just below. Otherwise, we will catch you in the next one. Coach Mark, thanks very much.
Very good.
See you, everybody. Bye.